Hello and welcome back to Burgundy Banter. My name is Juanners,
I'm Judgmental Jim.
and we're back with another episode of Burgundy Banter. I kind of missed out on an Orlando preview from last week. The last time we had an episode was, of course, the Dave pod. If you didn't get a chance to listen to, we had Dave Wegner on a couple weeks ago at the beginning of the month, just to talk all things C38 as he kind of eases out of the leadership position and into a less demanding role. So happy for Dave on that one. But we didn't. Burgundy Banter missed out on the last week of the usual cycle of games. But we're back heading into a very very busy summer. And, typically, Jim, the Rapids have done well in the summer. And so far, this is kind of a June to forget. Rapids coming off a 3-game losing streak. What are you making of the team so far before we get into the Orlando game? Where are your vibes at right now?
Yeah, well, a few weeks ago, you were hitting the Juanners panic button, and I wasn't quite on that level, but now I'm on that level for sure. Yeah, just inconsistent performances. We've had inconsistent lineups, namely because of inconsistent injury issues. It's just been very inconsistent. Is probably the best word to describe it. I mean, I said it 4 times just now. Yeah, it's just been very inconsistent. We haven't performed well at home. There seems to be a goal scoring issue right now, which I'm sure we'll get into. But not good vibes, Juanners. Not good vibes at all, man. To be honest.
Yeah, and it was very telling in that match just how quickly the defense tends to collapse. There was, a lot of people pointing to the lack of an attack, which is very much there. But I think it goes beyond just the way beyond the team's attack. I think the way this team plays overall seems to be a bit of a jumbled mess.
Yeah, it's an overall thing for sure.
Because you look at a game like at home against Austin, where the team really tried attacking a lot. And here's the thing, because we haven't even talked about that Austin game either. That Austin game was that team is a team that can, and I said as much on the podcast and in the Box State game preview, in the sense that Austin did to the Rapids what the Rapids did to Austin earlier in the season, right? Rapids came in, got that quick Navajo goal from a Georgie assist, and then they sat on that lead. And Austin did the same thing. They got that early goal, and from that early goal, it changes everything about how this team, faces adversity. And it's a team that does not rise to the occasion when called upon to do so.
No, and I definitely feel like when the Rapids go down a goal early, it's like you might as well get up and leave the stadium, because it's almost as if the Rapids never come back and take the lead after being down, like, ever. It just feels like they don't have that dog in them like other teams do to like you said, fight that adversity. And it's been time and time again, season after season almost.
Yeah, it's sort of the 2 steps forward and then, a massive one, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, it seems, with this team. And we're going to get into it as well, just based off some transfer news, a very quick transfer saga that promptly ended. But before we do, is there anything to mention about that Austin game? I'll read out some stats. Rapids 2.3 XG, 0 goals. It in that instance, the attack was there, but finishing was an issue. What did you make of that Austin game? You can also move on if you don't want to talk about it either.
My quick summary to that is just a sloppy, bad performance at home. Like you said, Austin had taken the lead early, and we obviously had an own goal in there too. So yeah, one to forget, I'd say.
Yeah, one to forget. I mean, another one to forget, Orlando City. This one, I mean, I was in attendance for that Austin game, and before the match, the vibes were high, just because
Oh man.
it was the Pride night, and it was like nice to get, like a bunch of people out for that one, and I was inviting a bunch of people to this one, expecting a massive, beating down of Austin, because I mean, it's one thing to lose on the road 1-2 against Portland, right? Where it's like, yeah, it's going to happen on a midweek game. And sure, the Rapids should have pressed for more goals. And sure, we had Jeremy come on and kind of had that whole spiel, right? So, I mean, there's times where you look at a loss and you're like, all right, fine. That's a loss you're going to take. These last two games, these are not losses you want to take. I mean, the 2 home games. I mean, the Rapids are looking like one of the worst home teams in the league.
Well, what was really disappointing for me was this was a great opportunity for them to jump up the standings or kind of get a higher position held, because you got these games at home against teams, maybe not Orlando, but definitely Austin, teams that you can beat. And so it's just, yeah, it really frustrating period of games here.
Let's move on then, because I mean, we can talk about vibes all the time with games, because I mean, I think
sure.
I think there's always vibes before the game, and then you get in. Another one that just had very much nothing. Another team that can just come in, take a goal. This is one of the first times maybe Nico Hansen should have done better. A lot of the times, I mean, even that first Austin goal that they scored, I felt that was a bit unlucky for him, given how they scored it off like a random deflection in the box, really. And that's kind of the worst place to be. That's kind of one of the toughest job spaces, is that goalie box there. But in this one against Orlando City, Martin Ojeda off a feed, which, too much time for Marco Pasalic at the top of the box, just finds Ojeda, and, Nico Hansen should have definitely done better. But I don't know, like, does Stefan save that? Probably, but, the lack, I mean, it wasn't until like another 15 minutes later in the 27th minute where Nico prevents another goal from going in. Like he didn't get that first one, but he did prove his worth in the next phase of play there. So I'm just kind of interested to know your thoughts. Like, do you think this team is a Stefan away from being the team we thought they were?
No, and I never want to. I never want to watch a team or follow a team that's heavily reliant on their goalkeeper to like stay afloat, because that means the 10 other players on the field are garbage. I want to see the playmakers playmaking, and I want to see the strikers getting goals. I want to see the defenders that are getting paid large sums of money defend. And it's a backup keeper who has very little MLS experience. I'm not gonna pin these games on him. The team should have performed better. Do I think Stefan changes the result? No, not really, because I think they would have scored something anyway, and the Rapids wouldn't have been able to score anyway. So that's kind of my thoughts. Is it's the 10 other players on the field need to just do better.
Yeah, because I mean, I would have to do another deep dive into the stats, and I do have an article I'm thinking about releasing if I can find the time to write it. Just diving into the Rapids' advanced stats, and one of the early ones that caught my eye was one of the league leaders in long balls was Zach Steffen. So I mean, kind of says something about just the way that maybe he's being utilized, because this isn't a team that can play it out the back, right? And it's not a team that with possession can do a whole lot, right? They are reliant on that quick hit and that quick transition.
Sure.
They want to find the right-hand side. or the left-hand side with, Sam Vines overlapping. And we'll I mean, the one good thing I'll say is Sam Vines looked like Sam Vines. Like, I have not seen this Sam Vines in a minute, so it was good to see even him just getting some good moments.
Just out there, bro. Just out there.
Yeah. If he is our most leftmost threat, that says a lot more though about the team. In this game, no Kevin Cabral, and I think it was probably dead on arrival the minute the signing happened. We've beaten the horse enough. Like, we're not. It's not to say that this is, it's some expert analysis and saying that the team has handled this whole situation. Even on a bargain, Cabral has just not been good. And I'm starting.
Well, what I heard.
Tell me.
I'm sorry. What I heard in this particular match via the press conference with Chris Armas was that he wasn't brought on because of illness, but I think he was in the 18. Am I not correct in that?
Yeah, I mean, he's on the bench.
Like, he's there, but he's not playable. And I guess they didn't have anybody else to put.
I guess so.
I don't know.
I mean,
but
in any case,
that's what he said.
That wasn't on the. That wasn't necessarily on the injury report. Not that I mean, going back to.
Might have been a very last minute thing.
Yeah.
Too.
In any case, I think it's not like he would come in and solve all these issues, right?
Yeah, no. If it hasn't worked out, it's not gonna work out, and it seems to be getting worse every week. That's kind of where I stand with it.
Well, not only every week, every year that goes by where you get, I mean, when other teams open up DP slots, it's exciting. But for the Rapids, I mean, outside of Georgie and, despite my reservations about Navajo, like, those are the only two hits in a.
Well, it's never an overwhelming signing, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
it's always a guy that we have to Google search, or it's a guy that played in the MLS at one point.
I don't mind
that's kind of where we're at.
I don't mind that, because on the flip side, you have players that come in like Insigne, right? You have players that come in like Emmanuel Latte Lath, who came in
and they kind of flop
and are flopping, right? And so, I mean, this is the issue when it comes to spending money in the league is you got to spend it wisely. And right now, the Rapids have in the few years of the Fran Taylor era, there's not been. I mean, I don't know how you recommend Kevin Cabral as a potential franchise player when you've seen a lot about him and his lack of goal scoring. It's like whatever regression models they have are clearly not regressing positively, right? It seems to just be continually being, proven to their face that, like, it's just been bad signings. Georgie, on the other hand, like, I'll take a player like Georgie who is familiar with the league, who does well on poor teams. He did really well with Montreal. Now, granted, he was coached by an amazing coach in Wilfred Nancy. But I mean, without Georgi Mihailovic, I don't think this team is probably right down there with the rest of them. Georgi Mihailovic would be the only reason the Rapids make the playoffs this year.
I agree with that 100%. I was telling somebody that if the Rapids didn't have Georgi Mihailovic, they would be possibly second to last place to the Galaxy.
And that wasn't the case last year. I want to make perfectly clear, because we had Georgie in the playoffs, and the big miss there was Cole Bassett, right? And Rapids are without Cole Bassett again. But I think this year Georgie has really stepped up, and the rest of the team has just regressed massively. So I'm looking at this team, and I just can't help but say someone needs to help our Serbian playmaker out here. Much like the Nuggets' Serbian playmaker needs a lot of help over there, right? And funny enough, two franchises saddled with less than stellar front offices, and but that's beside the point. I just want to say, like, Georgie right now is like he was always going to be the guy that following whatever phase this is a piece you need to keep and a piece you need to build around.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
So, I mean, beyond that, I'm trying to think of what else here, because, I mean, 2 back-to-back home losses where you don't score a goal. Where does the blame fall for you on that one?
Well, that's kind of where I'm starting to figure out is, who to point the blame to. You could say the front office, because it's technically, the roster that they've built and constructed. That's valid blame, but I also think maybe Armis a little bit too with some of the tactical, some of the tactical things that have happened, and just maybe not getting the most out of these players right now.
Who would you say? Who would you say Armis is not getting the most out of? If you were to just kind of
that's tough. It's tough to think, and it's a bold claim to make, for sure.
Well, I have plenty. I think one is Josh Atencio.
If you have sure.
Because I mean, when that signing came through, I mean, we did an emergency.
We were amped,
and I'm still amped about Atencio's ability, right? But I just think he's being misused as a Bassett clone. Like, and I know we're missing Bassett, but I mean, anytime I see Atencio anywhere in the attacking third, I always just end up, ripping my hair out, because I don't see him as the guy that's going to be, in that attack, really, quarterbacking attacks and winning those. I mean, if he's up there to win duels and kind of win that second ball and feed it out, like it rarely happens. It's rare he's ever in that right spot, and in moments where he should be kind of defending against the ball, he's behind it. Just due to the fact that he's being played further up the field. Like, I think that one is, I think that piece, like, and it's not to say that you should drop Atencio, but you should play him a bit further down, like play him at an actual position he can thrive at.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's been a little underwhelming, but like you said, the positioning has been a little off. I also think if I were to name another player, maybe Rosenberry's kind of been left out of the squad, it feels like, and but that's a guy that's been with the club for a long time, and he's older in age, and I understand that, but he was named your team captain about a year ago, and he had just signed a big contract, so it's just I'm kind of wondering why he hasn't seen more time. I understand he had a kid, and perhaps that's affecting his life a little bit, but yeah, just been kind of radio silence on Rosenberry and what's going on there, and that at times I question why he's not out there.
I mean, even when we see him post game, and he just looks sad. Like he
doesn't look like he's happy.
I mean, it looks a bit dejected, because you have plenty of reasons here for Rosenberry to get a shot at the left back, and no fault to Jackson Travis. I'm all for the youth development, right? But I mean, I thought the plan was Rosenberry at left back and Reggie Cannon at right back. You know what I mean? And I still wouldn't mind that. I still think Keegan can put in a shift at any position across the back line, and man, it's just,
I think the on-field leadership too has a lot to do with it.
Because who's right now
the on-field?
Who's the leader right now? You'd say amongst these guys, maybe Georgie, but
well, Georgie wears the captain band. I'm told that he doesn't like. And I could be wrong but I was told once that he's not a big like me, like my team kind of guy. He's like, he's very quieter and not like captain oriented maybe, but he's probably just wearing the band because he's probably the most notable player on the field at this point.
Right.
Maxu's flashed it a few times before, and obviously Zach was wearing it for a while, um, but I think what Keegan brings is that on-field leadership. And somebody mentioned on Twitter that ever since he's not been on the field, the Rapids have conceded goals and bad moments and have done a lot of dumb stuff. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe him not being out there has kind of created this form.
Now, sticking on the topic of defenders, right? Because I asked you, why are the goals not coming? I might also remind the listeners that last year the Rapids had a fifth of their goals from the penalty spot. So that quickly dried up, right? It's not a reliable source of goals, and so now you're at a point now where you're not getting penalties. You're not getting teams that are missing star players. You're playing teams at full strength. You're playing teams with Orlando who, on their bench have a guy like Ramiro Enrique, right, who can come on and be lethal. And he didn't score here, but it's that firepower on the bench, right? The Rapids don't have that at the moment. I mean, your firepower bench player is Kevin Cabral, and he's sick. Beyond that, though, the Rapids were in the transfer rumors, the dirt sheets for a potential center back, Stav Lemkin from on loan to Shakhtar Donetsk from was it Maccabi Haifa? I'm forget I forget which team in Israel he was playing for, but an Israeli center back was on the move to Colorado. It was set to happen because when Bogert reports it, it's probably got a lot more legs than many other reports outside of a nice hefty Pollard ping, which I trust more than a Bogert bomb when it comes to Rapids news. But Stav Lemkin, I did some digging on this guy, and I did quite like his tape. I did see that he kind of fit in a kind of right center back role, and a guy that kind of reminds me of a more active Cheeto, Awasim. Another interesting note here: no Cheeto in that last game, left on the bench. I think for a second time in a row. I don't know if we got to hit the panic button on Cheeto just yet, but beyond that, like Stav Lemkin, what did you make of this one? I know Rapids fans want wingers, right? I've wanted a winger. I want the Rapids to splash money on a winger. But what did you make of about the move? And then you can also brief us on what happened, on why the move collapsed.
Sure, absolutely. Stav Lemkin, he's an Israeli center back. The club that he was with was Maccabi Tel Aviv.
That's what it was. Thank you.
But he was on loan there from Shakhtar Donetsk. He's been with Donetsk since 23. He spent the 24 season at Tel Aviv. Before that, he was at...
I think it's the other way around. I think he was on loan to Shakhtar.
I could be incorrect. Regardless, it's an Israeli center back. He's young. I believe he's... Right? Yes. What I made of this was I was excited because it's another young center back. Talked about Lucas Harrington earlier, who's very young. But this one seemed like a more MLS ready guy, possibly a Maxu replacement in the future. He was reported to and join the team, and I was really excited about this just to add competition, and maybe if a looming departure happens, there's a guy there for it. But ultimately, it didn't work out. And Tom Bogert reported, I think it was yesterday, that a club in the Netherlands, FC Twente, had essentially come in and proposed a deal, and he had reversed his Rapids negotiations, and opted to sign with Twente. He liked their proposal better, from what I'm told, and so not a Rapids player one.
But
It's close though.
but a very rapid situation, right?
A very rapid situation, and the old school Rapids fan in me begs to wonder why that occurred. Do you have any theories on maybe why he didn't accept it? Maybe it's beyond football at that point. What do you think?
I mean, without getting too much into the political realm of the move and whatnot, because I did see a lot of people were upset, just given
Sure.
where we're at right now. But
Sure.
it's hard for a Euro player or any player with any amount of pedigree, any amount of talent and quality to look at the Rapids and not see just a team that's well below standard. And
Just alarm bells, red flags.
yeah, I mean, money helps, right? Money helps to bring guys in. A lot of guys I mean, maybe the Rapids are kind of overpaying for guys like Stefan to join the team, right? But beyond that, no, this goes to ownership. Like, no pro is going to come into the Rapids and see a training facility that is going to amaze them enough to stick around. You know what I mean? And,
Right.
could also probably blame it on maybe we have people that can't sell Denver culture or Colorado culture as a whole to these players coming in. And it's like Colorado's not that bad, right? And sure, like Colorado's mostly known for the outdoors and for, skiing and a lot of these things that players probably aren't allowed to do while under contract. But I mean, there's still a lot to the city you can sell. Maybe the project is something they don't believe in. But I mean, you look at the Rapids and how they are, and it's like, still no training facility. Year over year, you get players hurt. A new player that is hurt now, that's probably, this year probably less crucial, but another very prominent player is Cole Bassett, who's out with another injury, right? And it you beg to wonder, year over year, there seems to always be an injury to the Rapids team that just costs them. Because if you're not going to be spending, you may as well ensure that your players are healthy enough for an entire season, or play a style that doesn't run these players into the ground. Because by the time the playoffs came around last year, when we were out without Bassett, and when Hoffa and Georgie and the rest of the crew were playing full 90s without any real rotation or break, it caught up to us at the end of the season. So take your pick, man. Honestly, there's a lot of reasons why a player would want to turn down the Rapids. It's not hard. I mean, look at the stadium, right? Look at the lack of training facilities. So what do you think? Where's your head at?
Yeah,
here,
no, exactly
besides
that.
That's so Rapids.
Well, if I was a professional footballer and I was looking to come to the MLS, I would, not knowing any of the team backgrounds, not knowing any of the lore and all that, and the Rapids had offered me a deal. Sure, Colorado's a great place, sign the deal. But then let's say a team from Europe comes in. Of course I'm going to go with that. It's just a more known quantity. I think the league is probably better or on par with MLS at the least. But yeah, like you said, infrastructure is a huge reason. Stadium, maybe fan culture, just kind of things like that are very different from Europe. And so, it's very easy to turn a player off quickly.
Now, I do also want to shift this into a discussion about, the window of the transfer window itself, right? And
Sure.
A lot of people want to change the schedule to a winter schedule to align with the European window, because if it was, and if we were at a point where the Rapids, this would be the window where the Rapids are signing players for their season, right? That starts in August. That is a lot better of a window for a player than for them to kind of sign, in the middle of the season, in the middle of an MLS season. So, what I will say is that if the Rapids are looking to spend in the summer, we need to see it, because this team is still some pieces away, but they are also, not only are they just pieces away, but they're also like they're very close to a championship window. If they if they find a way to make the most out of all their players, and that's kind of like the issue right now, is so many players have not come good that it does feel like I don't know. I hate how often the Pids are rebuilding, and I can't help but feel like maybe a rebuild is on the horizon in some way. Especially,
well, it's an unfortunate case. Yeah.
But I mean, I think in any case, like it kind of looks like you're staring down two paths, like either just figure it out with this team and ride it out, or meaningfully improve the squad. And if the Rapids are even hinting at the latter path, then I'm kind of excited for this window where the Rapids usually don't spend. It's like we got Hoffa 2 years ago, and then Cannon the year before. But I mean, Hoffa was on loan, and I mean, hell, even a loan, like to figure that out as well. Yeah, some movement here, because this team needs a shakeup, and it needs a little, not just fine tuning, but it definitely needs to just be stripped of the weaker parts and
the dead weight. Yeah,
the team needs to just be a little bit more efficient with their spending. Jim.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Anything else on Stav Lemkin? Are you bummed?
No, because I mean, yes and no. I'm bummed because it just like proves to me 100% that the Rapids might be a bit of a joke at times. Which most people would say, yeah, Jim, that's how it's always been. But it's just kind of a letdown situation. Like, man, I don't see Portsmouth ever do that, or I don't see Auckland FC have transfer issues. So, it's just like a That's So Rapids, you just take a gut punch and you move on.
Jim, how many MLS Cups do those teams have combined?
0, but Portsmouth have an FA Cup.
All right, whatever.
And I doubt the Rapids would never win an A-League trophy. I guarantee you that the Central Coast Mariners would smack the Rapids 5-0. Make the friendly happen, poor egg. I'll pay for it.
I disagree. I think you're
5-0.
The A-League.
I'm not overrating the A-League, but anyway. I mean, I am overrating the A-League. But the Rapids are so bad that the overrating of the A-League compensates for how bad the Rapids are. Therefore, the Rapids are losing. The end.
Maybe we'll see them in the Club World Cup when the Rapids qualify next year, right?
Yep, and then they play Auckland City.
Yeah, just the correct version this time, not the, what is it, the New Zealand version? There's a New Zealand one and an Australian one?
Yeah, so Auckland City is the domestic New Zealand league club that represents the Oceania Confederation that is in the Club World Cup. The Auckland FC of Judgmental Jim is in the A-League, which is technically Australia, which is technically in the Asian Confederation.
There you go. A little bit of sorting
and
out with Jim.
And it's so dumb. Just make it domesticate. I don't know, man. If Auckland FC were in Oceania, they'd win every fucking year.
Let's talk about LA, because
let's do it.
This is a very fun season if you're an LA Galaxy hater.
I am too.
As I am. And it wasn't too long ago that the Galaxy were just as shit as the Rapids. So I mean, this is not something that is unlike the LA Galaxy, right? To be very, very poor in a season. But the difference between the Galaxy and the Rapids is the Galaxy will end in last place in the MLS, and they'll go out and get a guy like Zlatan. Whereas the Rapids will go out and get a guy like
Eunice Nomley.
Eunice Nomley. Yeah, this is a good one. Or yeah, I mean, this is LA, right? They are coming in, and here's the thing about LA. I've watched a lot of LA. They've had some fraudulent losses throughout the year in a sense that they really should not have had this run of bad luck as much as they did. But I mean, that's what happens when you fail to kind of get off to a good start. It's what happens when you have a little bit of a goalkeeper uncertainty. They benched McCarthy only for Novak Mitrovic to get into
Absolutely
some mistakes.
Yeah, he was bad.
And then when McCarthy was back in, there was kind of a mental block there as well. They kind of couldn't find form, and then they got Mitrovic back in there. So I mean, overall, and it's not for nothing. They are without Ricky Puig. They are, that kind of goes to the big, overarching narrative as to why they're poor, or why they're, sorry, I don't mean to say poor, but why they're bad. But beyond that, their most recent win came against Salt Lake. So shout out to Salt Lake for popping that cherry. And they're just coming off a 3-3 draw on the road against St. Louis, a match they were very close to winning, if not for a Joao Klaus 94th minute equalizer. So, they are a team that are struggling, to say the least. But right now, up top for them is Mateus Nascimento, who's starting to find some form. He is definitely a player that I feel like could get some good form against the Rapids. I mean, you got Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsil. Those guys terrorized the Rapids. Between them, they scored a bunch of goals and goal contributions in the playoff series, right?
It was 7 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of 2 games, they scored 9.
Contributions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they definitely are probably responsible for, if not all of them, most of them, right? But beyond that, there's still some holes, I think. Matthias Zanka Jorgensen is one of the slower center backs in the league, very poor against the ball. I think the Rapids could easily find him as a pressing target, as a pressing cue. Mickey Amane, not as great a passer, could also be a focus down the left, and we know how the Rapids like to press down the left-hand side. Edwin Cerrillo should be back for this one. He was suspended, so this is about as close to a full-strength LA squad as they're going to have.
Is Maya Yoshida in?
Yes, Maya Yoshida is in.
Big fan of him.
Very strong center back. But I mean, this is where we get to kind of the narratives here, because between Maya Yoshida and Matthias Jorgensen, Zanka, they both combine for 71 years of age. Right, a lot of experience there. The Rapids, if they're going to roll out with a kind of similar lineup, they need to prove that conditioning. They need to prove that they can come in here and disrupt a team like the Galaxy. They need to come in and, at home, prove why the Galaxy are this bad and why the Rapids, as I said in an article, have an okay to good floor. I'm starting to doubt the good. It's an okay floor, and, it's enough sometimes in the league because, I mean, the playoffs the season's bloated. A lot of teams make the playoffs, and the Rapids will always be fine making the playoffs. Though I really don't think fans should accept that. This is a game we got to prove it. Like simple as.
What's the LA fucking Galaxy? It's an original club. I mean, not that means anything to anybody, because it really doesn't. It should, but it doesn't. But yeah, they're just dog shit. and everybody else is beating them. So like, if you're the Rapids and you lose this game, dude, panic button, fucking all the buttons on the fucking control panel are getting pressed and fucking mashed because it's just unacceptable. It's very unacceptable if they fucking lose this game. I will raid the field. No, I won't.
I was about to say.
So if someone actually does, it wasn't me.
You said
I'm
that
too slow to be raiding the field.
You said that and immediately backtracked, like you knew what you said.
Well, because I thought about Argus's hostility. For those who know about that, and I was immediately turned off because I didn't want to get hit with an electrical device. But yeah, allegedly speaking, maybe there was a flag with puke involved. I don't know, but nevertheless, we can't lose this game. One at home, you can't do it.
Tell me what's going to happen, Jim. What is your score prediction for this one?
Wednesday night. Let's not forget. So that means there's going to be like 5,000 people there. And it's going to be me and like 20,000 kids. I'm going to go 2-1 win. Realistically, I'm going to go 3-1 loss. But and that's because of just the recent form. I don't trust anything I'm seeing right now. We just had a fucking transfer canceled. Like, times are tough, man. Times are tough.
So I haven't quite. I know we're gonna be without Bassett.
That's another thing.
That kind of does affect it a little bit for me. Even though I think he is mostly been poorly used as well.
Yeah, he's kind of been a letdown, but he's
I mean,
better than something else.
Yeah, and for me, like, I haven't off my initial just kind of projected lineups without any confirmation as to who's starting. Without Bassett, with all the relevant information I have, my model is saying a 1-1 draw.
Oh, your model's probably right too.
Because and again, I'll probably have to update it with the correct starting 11. I'll probably update everyone once it actually comes through. But it also thought a 1-1 draw against Austin, and it got the total amount goals right, but not the correct distribution. But in any case, like, the model is rating both teams like pretty well, and that 1-1 is kind of generous. The LA Galaxy have about a 2% edge over the Rapids. So wherever the Rapids can find that 2%, edge to kind of, counteract whatever, because I mean, it's really up. It's like a coin flip almost, like,
yeah, it's going to be stressful
because no one can definitively say whether this team is good enough to beat Galaxy, because the Galaxy got some ballers, bro. That's what's crazy about this. Like,
that's the thing. The money. It's the money, bro. It's like, fuck.
The difference. And if the Galaxy have the difference makers, which they seem to do, that's what they get paid money for. I think, like, my model says 1-1, but I'm more inclined to think it'll be a 1-0 for the Galaxy, because they need points, and I think they know they can get away with just one, right? So,
well, and if Peck and Painsel are out there, it's scary, man. It's scary because I saw what they do.
I mean,
those guys are killers.
All witness to it, right? Jim, any final thoughts here before we wrap up the pod?
Nope, no final thoughts. Going into Wednesday with a pessimistic mind, in hopes that they actually win, and then I'm optimistic afterwards.
Now, we did not talk about New England, because the Rapids do play New England on Saturday. There may or may not be a podcast this week, just depending on how things go. But If that pod does release, it'll be kind of closer towards game time, so be on the lookout for that one. But Jim, where can they find you?
Judgmental Jim on Twitter and on Instagram.
You can find me at Juanners715 on Twitter, Juanners.Bsky.Social. Be sure to follow State Footy on all platforms. To do so, just head to boxstatefooty.com. It'll show you a link to our Substack. I wrote a recent piece on a separate event within Denver. So that one's more of a grassroots, more political piece. I implore you to check it out because it's, I mean, if anything, it'll kind of give you a breather on all the Rapids pessimism. But beyond that, check out boxstatefooty.com, Substack, TikTok's up there, Instagram, not Facebook, but Twitter, X, Bluesky, all the links to the podcast and Apple Podcasts, which I thought Box State Footy was on Apple Podcasts this entire time, and I only just now synced it. So officially on Apple Podcasts. So the best way you can help Box State is to give us a review on there, and some merch is up as well if you want to, donate or not donate, but if you want to contribute financially in some way to the project here. I got some Burgundy Banter tees, a nice Box State original hat, plenty of stuff up there for all shapes and sizes, all different people that listen. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you hopefully this week. But if not, we'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.